Hello everybody, Brandon here. So this is a little weird because, usually I have sort of expectation of 0 to 20 views when I upload a video. My last one did well for, my channel. Obviously not well compared to, other shit, but, just bizarrely got more views than I certainly would have expected. And also, I got a couple new subs from that, so to anyone who's newly subscribed or who showed up to watch that video for whatever reason, appreciate it, thank you. But, regardless of whether that did or did not happen, I did still want to make a new video before, I believe I said I wanted to do one next for, the Marilyn Manson album drop, which is not until November 22nd, but I did want to do something before then as well, because that's a ways off. But I was sitting around, I was thinking, well, what could I do? And I decided that I wanted to talk about something that I enjoy, because the last video I put out was a little depressing. So instead of talking about anything depressing or perhaps contentious or controversial or whatever, because I have my other channel where I talk about edgier / drama related shit. I didn't really want to do that either, so I decided let's talk about Warhammer. I like Warhammer. I like Warhammer 40k. My best friend of 15 years, he introduced me to Warhammer. I remember we played Total War Shogun 2 many years ago, and that was also something he introduced me to, and I ended up liking it quite a bit. I wasn't really sure at first, but we played a campaign or two together, and it was really fun. We had a lot of very enjoyable moments doing so, and I became pretty hype for that type of game. I thought it was really cool. And then years later, after Total Warhammer and Total Warhammer 2 came out, he gifted me the second game on Steam. I wasn't too sure. I thought, well, okay, I don't really know anything about Warhammer, because at the time I didn't. And I was even kind of sure I wouldn't like the setting at all. But I was like, you know what? It's still a Total War game, right? I could still enjoy it from the gameplay side. It doesn't matter if I know the lore, it doesn't matter if I even like the lore. The game could still be lots of fun. And I was right. I ended up liking the game a ton. What ended up happening, though, was that because I started playing the game so much, I started passively absorbing the lore and actually becoming, interested in it, rather than just being like, oh, okay, I know that now. It was like, oh, this is interesting. And then, eventually I started to become very interested, and I actively sought out lore. So, yeah, my Warhammer introduction was with, again, Total War, Warhammer 2. I usually just call it Total Warhammer, and yeah, I put 1,000 hours into that game, so yeah, I liked it. It was alright, some Steam reviews are. It's 20,000 hours, yeah, it's okay. So yeah, I ended up loving that game, and then eventually I picked up Vermintide 2, because I was like, oh yeah, this is also, set in that universe. This would be fun to see, the Skaven up close, And I was right. I enjoyed that game a lot, too. And then, I actually don't specifically remember where I went from there. I think Inquisitor Martyr was one of the first 40k games I played. Because I think at that point I was still kind of well, okay, I ended up liking Warhammer, but I don't know about 40k. And then I played Inquisitor Martyr, and I ended up liking that quite a bit, too. So as of, the making of this video, I got a ton of 40k games now, and I like plenty of them quite a bit. Some honorable mentions of games that I think are really fun. Bolt Gun, Chaos Gate, Demon Hunters, Darktide, although complaint about Darktide, I would love to be able to host a solo lobby, because not that I don't want to play it with my friends, or I don't want to play it with strangers, I will say that. I get annoyed with pickup groups in pretty much any kind of game, but it'd be nice to just kind of play it at my own pace. So if I just want to take it slow and sort of absorb the surroundings, I would like to be able to do that without people hurrying me or whatever. But anyway, other good games that have come out, I think Inquisitor Martyr, like I said, I really like that game. Also recently got into Mechanicus. I think that one's really neat. And I'm going to get into Rogue Trader. I played some of it enough to know that I definitely like it, I think. But I wanted to wait because I think they're making an expansion. I want to wait till that comes out and then get both of the expansions and then play the game. But I wanted to sort of see if I like the game at all first. And then Space Marine, I liked the first one, and then the second one I'm really into. I'm curious. I think part of the reason I like the second one more is because of the operations mode. You know, having stuff to work towards and unlock. That's pretty fun. And you know, obviously being able to customize your Space Marine is pretty sweet. I've decided that I wanted each of my classes to be a different chapter, and my main class I had to choose because I was like, well, who do I want to represent most? Because I'm going to specifically play as the tactical more often than not. So I figured, you know, I'll look at all the chapters that are available in the game. I'll find a pattern that I like, or you know, the colors. And then I'll look them up. I'll see if I actually like what they're about, you know. And I ended up going with the Tome Keepers because I like the vibe and idea of the Tome Keepers. They're pretty cool to me. So anyway, on the subject of Space Marine 2, and this is sort of more what I wanted to make the video about, I wanted to engage in some, very pointless daydreaming, because it's not like, you know, somebody at Saber Interactive is going to watch my video and be like, oh shit, this guy's spitting facts, he's cooking, let's do what he wants, right? That's not going to happen. But I wanted to talk about what I think would be very interesting to see for Space Marine 2. Now, I know they have their roadmap of free content, and then they've got the stuff, the cosmetic stuff for, Season Pass owners. That's just the cosmetic stuff, though. And the free content is probably just going to be operations that are more or less just based on what's already in the game, which is fine, because the new operation that came out the other day was pretty fun. I liked it. I liked it just fine. I thought it was really cool. But what I would love to see, and I realize this is a big ask, because I'm not stupid. I'm not like a lot of people where I think they underestimate exactly how much goes into developing things for a game. I know that one of the things that I want, which is for them to add a new set of operations centered around a new enemy, I realize that is a lot of work, right? I realize they'd have to add new enemies, right? Obviously new enemies to beef out a new faction, right? Let's say they added orcs, because orcs were in the first game. It seems sort of reasonable that they could, you know, make a comeback so that you could fight them in this new iteration of the game, which I think is just it's super fun. So I'd like to rematch against the orcs, certainly in this new game, especially with my own Space Marine, right? The thing is like I said, I understand that would be a lot of work, because you'd need to make new enemy types to flesh out the faction, and you would need to add new executions all across the board for, you know, all the different melee weapons and shit. So yeah, it's a lot of work. I completely understand that is a lot of work. I would totally be willing to pay for that. I don't know how the rest of you guys might feel about that. Obviously, people would love that sort of thing for free, but I'd be willing to pay for an expansion that goes that far, right? That adds a new set of operations, maybe 3 or more missions, where they introduce an extra faction for you to fight. In fact, I'd be willing to do that for more than one extra faction. The only thing is, I don't know how many factions would really work for this particular game, because I think a big part of this game is obviously the melee combat aspect, and I'm not enough of a 40k expert to know how many of the other factions this would really work for. I'm sure you could do other branches of chaos, right? You could have the other chaos gods start poking around, and you could fight different chaos variants. I think certainly it'd be fun to see some grotesque Nurgle shit rendered in this game's engine, because I think this game looks really good. Space Marine 2 looks very nice. I was very impressed when I played it for the first time. When my best friend of 15 years. I don't know if it's actually 15 years. It's probably 13 or 14, but still, my best bud, he bought me this game, and we played it co-op when it released, and we had such a good time. We were fucking giggling and clapping our hands, you know, every time we saw something really cool. There was just a lot of really nice scenery, a lot of cool things that sort of gave a sense of scale to what was going on. You know, just like there's something really fun when you're like, you know, doing whatever you're doing, and then you like you can see something happening in the background that lends credibility to the idea that there's a lot going on, right? So anyway, yeah, I know for sure, like, I think orcs would be a fine addition to this game. It'd be fun to fight them with all the, you know, all the chapter representation I've got now with my different classes. It'd be really fun. It would also be fun, I think, to maybe do the Necrons. And I would like to fight other stuff too, like probably the Drukhari. The only thing is, I don't really know enough about Drukhari to know how well their units would adapt to this type of game. Maybe I'm mistaken. Maybe that wouldn't really work as well in this game's engine. I'm not sure, but I think you could definitely get away with orcs, right? That's just me kind of spitballing, me thinking about stuff. But I also, just because I'm not done talking, I guess, I wanted to daydream a little bit further beyond just Space Marine 2 and about new games in general. Because the thing about 40K that's kind of very fun is they could make like 100 games from 100 different studios, like this year, or, you know, next year, 2025, 100 different studios could release different games set in the 40K universe, all just about the Imperium, and I think there would still be an insane amount of variety and coverage, and you maybe still would have leftover creativity that could be put into more games. Like, that's the fun thing to me about 40K, because I'm sure there'd be tons of people who want their, you know, their favorite chapters represented in some way, as far as Space Marines are concerned. But even just outside of Space Marines, there's so many cool ideas, I think. I for one, would love a first or third person Astra Militarum game where you play as, like, a guardsman, right? I think you could do a lot with that to give a sense of perspective to games where you play as things that are more powerful than, you know, regular people, right? Like, you play Space Marine 2, and then if you were to play a game where you played as a guardsman, like, right after that, you would be like, oh, all of this stuff is so fucking scary and dangerous, right? It would be a total change in tone and pace where everything would become significantly more terrifying. Because, you know, a Carnifex shows up in Space Marine 2 on, like, a higher difficulty, you might have some trouble on your hands. A Carnifex shows up and you're, like, a guardsman, that's like a big fucking problem, right? So yeah, I would love a game about that. I don't know all the details of how you would make that, like, work necessarily, and I don't know how many other people would be interested in that. That's the thing. I have a lot of ideas for things I would find interesting, but I feel like, you know, if I was in charge of calling the shots, maybe I'd run a company into the ground, because I'd be like, well, I like this, and then everybody else would be like, yeah, but most people don't. So I don't know. If you're watching this far, what do you think? What would be your ideal 40K game that does not currently exist? On another thought like that, a game I would like very much would be sort of a classic RTS 40K game. I don't think there's been any, like, 40K RTS games in a while. The last thing I'm aware of is, like, Dawn of War 3, and I haven't played it personally, but I've been told by people that, you know, have played it that they didn't like it at all, apparently, which that concerns me. So I've never been motivated to play it myself, but, you know, I would love a new RTS, a new 40K game. More along the lines of, I guess, StarCraft or, like, Command & Conquer, something where you definitely build a base. I think that would be pretty fun. Because, you know, it's been a long time since even Dawn of War 3, but especially since, like, the ones that people really seem to like, which are the other two. Like, how old is Dawn of War 1? That's, like, what, 2000... I don't know, 2005 or something. It goes back, you know. But, you know, obviously you can still play and enjoy those, but I just think it'd be nice to have a newer one. I'm trying to think. I had some other ideas that I thought would be fun. Oh, actually, you know what? I would be interested. My friends always are like, you know, like, fuck the Eldari, but I think it'd be neat to have a game where you play as the Eldari from like, the ground level. Because, like, obviously in my ideal scenario where you get a new 40K RTS, it'd be fun to obviously have all these different factions represented, but there is a difference between being able to pick a faction in, like, a strategy game for, like, a skirmish mission, and being able to have a whole game where it is centered around being that thing. You know, so I think it would be great to have a game where you play as the Eldari, or if you wanted to get weird about it, you could make a game where you play as the Drukhari, and it's just very evil, right? That would be a very evil game. That'd be interesting as well. And yeah, there's just like an endless number of games you could make set in 40K, and I really enjoy the 40K setting. It's insane. It's depressing, to be honest. It's just so hopeless. One of the things I just find so interesting about it is like, okay, even if the Imperium was able to defeat all of its enemies, could it ever unfuck itself at this point? It's so poorly off in so many different ways. I don't know. That's just a depressing thought. So it's better to just ignore that and focus on the fun, like, horrific amounts of violence in the series. Because, you know, I was thinking about it and I was like, oh my god, is there any series, any IP in the world that has more just sheer volume of murder than fucking 40K? It's insane. But anyway, yeah, I'd love to know if you are watching this video and you like make it this far, and if you're inclined, obviously, you know, I'm not gonna make you do anything, but if you'd like to leave a comment, let me know what you think would be fun in your ideal scenario, where like you get a game made set in 40K and it just happens, right? Like just go under that assumption that you get your perfect 40K game. What would you want it to be? Do you want a game where you play as, you know, a very specific Space Marine chapter that you would love to see represented with, like, you know, a well-made story and cutscenes and dialogue and all that shit? Do you want something completely different? Do you want a game where you play as, like, the Tau? Do you want a game where you play as the Chaos perspective? What would you find interesting? Let me know in the comments. Appreciate it. If you watched this video at all, thank you so much for watching my last video for some reason. Again, I'm not really sure, because it's like update and then it's a date. I don't know why more people watch that one in particular, but anyway, appreciate it. See you guys in the next video. I'll try to make more videos between now and November 22nd, but that's definitely going to be a day that I'm not going to miss. So yeah, I'll see you guys next time.